World War II was a big, important event. It changed the world forever. It's important to learn about it, even if it happened a long time ago. Imagine a time before computers or smartphones. The world was a very different place. World War II changed how countries worked together. It changed how people lived their lives. Understanding this war helps us understand the world we live in today. We learn from the mistakes of the past. We remember the bravery of those who fought for freedom. It's a story full of courage, sacrifice, and lessons we should never forget. So let's journey back in time and explore this world-changing event. World War II didn't just happen overnight. It was the result of a complex web of events and emotions that had been building up for years, even decades. The world was a simmering pot of unresolved issues and unfulfilled ambitions, waiting for the right moment to boil over. It brewed for years, like a pot about to boil over. The tensions were palpable and the signs were everywhere if you knew where to look. Political unrest, economic instability, and social upheaval were all part of the mix. Imagine a group of people who were angry and resentful because of how they were treated in the past. They felt wronged and humiliated, and this collective anger was like a ticking time bomb. That's what happened after World War I. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, imposed harsh penalties on Germany. The country was left in ruins, both physically and emotionally. Germany, in particular, felt humiliated and unfairly punished after the First War. The treaty stripped them of their territories, their military power, and their dignity. They lost land, money, and their pride. The economic conditions were dire, with hyperinflation making their currency almost worthless. Families struggled to survive, and the future looked bleak. This made them angry and bitter. The sense of injustice and desperation grew, creating fertile ground for radical ideas and movements to take root. Meanwhile, a dangerous idea called Nazism was spreading. Adolf Hitler and his followers promised to restore Germany's former glory and to avenge the humiliations of the past. The Nazis believed they were superior to other people. They propagated a toxic ideology of racial purity and national dominance, which resonated with many disillusioned Germans. They wanted to conquer land and build a vast empire. Their ambitions knew no bounds, and they were willing to go to any lengths to achieve their goals. Other countries had their own problems too. The world was in turmoil, with economic crises and political instability affecting many nations. Economic depression made people desperate. The Great Depression of the 1930s left millions unemployed and hungry, creating a sense of hopelessness and fear. Fear and uncertainty filled the air. People were looking for solutions, for someone to blame, and for a way out of their misery. In this unstable world, the seeds of conflict were sown, waiting for the right moment to sprout. The stage was set for a global catastrophe, and it was only a matter of time before the world would be plunged into another devastating war. The match that lit the fire of World War II was Germany's invasion of Poland in 1939. This was the breaking point. It was the act of aggression that finally pushed the world into war. Great Britain and France, who had promised to protect Poland, declared war on Germany. The United States, initially hesitant to get involved, watched with growing concern. The world held its breath. War, a terrible and destructive force, had returned to Europe, and this time it would be even more devastating than before. World War II wasn't just fought in one place. It was a conflict that engulfed the entire globe, touching nearly every corner of the world. It was a global conflict, spanning multiple continents and oceans, from the vast plains of Europe to the dense jungles of Asia, and from the deserts of Africa to the islands of the Pacific. No region was left untouched. Imagine battles raging across vast distances, from the icy landscapes of Eastern Europe, where soldiers braved freezing temperatures and harsh conditions, to the scorching deserts of North Africa, where the heat was relentless and the terrain unforgiving. In Europe, Germany, Italy, and Japan formed an alliance known as the Axis powers. This coalition sought to dominate and reshape the world according to their ideologies. They fought against the Allied powers, which included Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and eventually the United States. These nations united to resist the Axis aggression and restore peace. The Pacific Theater saw fierce fighting between Japan and the United States. Naval battles and island-hopping campaigns defined this brutal front. Japan, seeking to expand its empire, launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. This devastating assault aimed to cripple the US Pacific Fleet. This act of aggression shocked the American people and propelled the United States into the war. Overnight, the nation mobilized, with citizens enlisting in droves to defend their country. From the bustling cities of Europe, which faced relentless bombing campaigns that reduced them to rubble, to the remote islands of the Pacific, where every inch of land was fiercely contested, the world became a battlefield. The scale and scope of World War II were unprecedented, leaving an indelible mark on history. Section 5. Turning the tide key battles and shifting fortunes. World War II was full of dramatic battles that changed the course of the war. These battles were not just clashes of military might, but also of strategy, endurance, and sheer willpower. Each confrontation had the potential to alter the fate of nations and the lives of millions. One such battle was the Battle of Stalingrad. This confrontation was one of the deadliest in history, with both sides suffering immense casualties. This brutal fight between Germany and the Soviet Union raged for months in a devastated city. The urban warfare was intense, with soldiers fighting street by street, building by building. The harsh winter added to the misery, making survival even more challenging. The Soviets eventually won, marking a turning point in the war in Europe. This victory not only boosted Soviet morale, but also weakened the German forces significantly, shifting the balance of power. In the Pacific, the Battle of Midway was a decisive victory for the United States Navy. This battle showcased the importance of intelligence and air power in modern warfare. It crippled the Japanese fleet and turned the tide in the Pacific theater. The loss of 4 Japanese aircraft carriers was a blow from which Japan never fully recovered. These battles, along with many others, demonstrated the resilience and determination of the Allied forces. They were a testament to the courage and tenacity of the soldiers who fought in them. They fought bravely against tremendous odds, slowly but surely pushing back against the Axis powers. Each victory, no matter how small, was a step closer to ultimate triumph and the restoration of peace. Section 6. Faces of the conflict, leaders and ordinary heroes. World War II wasn't just about armies and battles, it was about people. Leaders like Winston Churchill of Great Britain, Franklin D. Roosevelt of the United States, and Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union played crucial roles in shaping the course of the war. But the war was also fought and won by ordinary people who displayed extraordinary courage. Soldiers on the front lines, nurses tending to the wounded, and civilians enduring hardship at home all contributed to the war effort. Stories of bravery and sacrifice emerged from all sides of the conflict. These stories remind us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure. Section 7. A World in Flames. The Horrors of War. While World War II had its share of heroism, it was also a time of unimaginable horror. The war brought about unprecedented levels of destruction and loss of life. Cities were bombed to rubble, leaving countless civilians homeless and grieving. The Nazi regime's genocide against Jewish people, known as the Holocaust, remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. Millions of innocent people were systematically murdered in concentration camps. The war also saw the use of new and terrifying weapons, such as the atomic bombs dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These events serve as stark reminders of the devastating consequences of unchecked aggression and hatred. Section 8. Victory and Aftermath. A new world emerges. After 6 long years of fighting, World War II finally came to an end in 1945. The Allied powers were victorious, but the cost of victory was immense. Millions lay dead and entire countries were in ruins. The war had a profound impact on the world. It led to the creation of the United Nations, an international organization dedicated to preventing future wars and promoting peace. The war also shifted the balance of power in the world. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers, but their rivalry soon led to a new kind of conflict, the Cold War. Section 9. Echoes of the Past. Lessons for today. World War II may be a distant memory, but its lessons remain as relevant as ever. The war teaches us about the dangers of unchecked aggression, the importance of international cooperation, and the need to stand up against injustice. It also reminds us of the human cost of war. The stories of courage, sacrifice, and loss from that era should inspire us to strive for a more peaceful future. By remembering the past, we can work towards a better tomorrow, where the horrors of World War II are never repeated.